So here's a thought. Can ancient wisdom actually give us a framework for our most modern technology? That's what we're digging into today, a biblical perspective on artificial intelligence and how a theological foundation tries to make sense of the incredible tools we're building. Okay, let's jump right in. The source we're looking at argues that these first 10 words of the Bible are, well, the absolute starting point for understanding pretty much everything. And yes, that includes the super complex world of AI. Why? Because right from the get-go, they establish who the main actor is in the story of reality. And that brings us to the first really fundamental distinction in this whole framework, the absolute non-negotiable difference between the uncreated creator and, everything else, including the tools that we create. The key idea here is pretty straightforward. AI doesn't invent its own reality from scratch, it's working with what's already here. It relies on the patterns, the algorithms, the raw physical materials that only exist because, from this viewpoint, God created the universe and all the laws that govern it in the first place. This idea really reinforces the point that humanity is always building with what the author calls borrowed tools. Think about it. The silicon in our computer chips, the electricity that's powering our servers, it all comes from a world that, according to this perspective, ultimately belongs to God. So, with that foundation laid, we get to the real core of the argument. And honestly, it all hangs on the very specific meaning of a single word, create. And that brings us to this key theological term, creation ex nihilo. It's Latin, and it literally means out of nothing. This is the concept that God, and God alone, can speak reality into existence where absolutely nothing existed before. It's a power, the author argues, that is completely unique to the Creator. And this is where the contrast just becomes crystal clear. On one side, you've got divine creation, a truly original act, making something from literally nothing. And on the other side, you've got AI. AI's function is, well, it's basically a remix. It takes all the language, the images, the data that we give it, and it just rearranges those existing patterns. So what might look like creation is, in this view, just a really, really sophisticated form of imitation. So why does this distinction matter so much? Well, the warning here is pretty stark. If we start confusing AI's imitation with actual true creation, we risk falling into a kind of modern idolatry, giving the glory that belongs to the Creator to a tool that we ourselves built.
Okay, so if AI is just a tool, what makes humanity different in this framework? Well, the answer centers on this one really unique concept, that human beings are made in the image of God.
And this gets right to the heart of the difference between just mimicking something and actually possessing it. The argument is that an AI can simulate these profound human traits, but it can't actually have them, right? It can process terabytes of information without ever understanding truth. It can generate flawless sentences without an ounce of wisdom. It can mimic a conversation without feeling an iota of love. In this view, these qualities are tied to that image of God, and that's just not something you can program with lines of code.
All right, so with that foundation set, let's zoom out for a second. Where does a tool like AI actually fit into the bigger biblical story, and just the long history of human technology in general?
This framework places AI inside a classic four-part story. You can think of it like a four-act play. Act 1, a good creation. Act 2, the fall, where human brokenness corrupts our own inventions. Then comes redemption, which shows how those same tools can be reclaimed and used for good. And finally, restoration. From this perspective, AI isn't some brand new story, it's just the latest character in a very old drama. And this isn't the first time a new technology has caused both panic and promise. The printing press was feared, but it also fueled the Reformation, the radio, the internet. You see the pattern? It's always the same. AI is simply the latest powerful tool that, in the end, reveals a lot less about the tool itself and a whole lot more about the heart of the person using it. This brings us to a really specific warning from the author about a very modern temptation, the danger of lifting up or even worshiping our own technology. The source draws this direct, and pretty provocative, line from the prophet Isaiah mocking ancient idol worship to how we can sometimes treat AI today, asking it for wisdom like it's an oracle or trusting its output as if it's infallible truth. So the point here is simple, but it's crucial. AI is just the work of human hands. So in this framework, worshiping it is just repeating that ancient mistake of bowing down to an idol we made ourselves. And being terrified of it? Well, that's just giving way too much power to a tool.
So, in this age of absolutely dizzying technological change, where's the anchor? The framework concludes by pointing right back to the ultimate sovereignty and sustenance of God.
And this brings up the concept of Christ as the active sustainer. The idea here isn't just a creator who wound up the clock and walked away. No, the view from Colossians is that Christ is the glue holding all of reality together right now. Every atom, every single law of physics that AI itself completely depends on to function.
And there's this story of King Nebuchadnezzar just boasting about the great city he built. It becomes this powerful cautionary tale for our own age of incredible technological achievement. It's a timeless warning against human pride.
So, let's bring it all together. This entire framework really boils down to a simple but profound hierarchy. God alone is the creator, the sustainer, and the sovereign. AI, by contrast, is just a dependent tool, operating only within the world he made and continues to hold together.
And all of that leaves us with this one final crucial question. It's the same one that was asked of the printing press, of the radio, and of the internet. With this powerful new tool in our hands, what are we building? Are we building a kingdom for ourselves? Or are we building something for a purpose much greater than us?